Ever feel like the world's a little off kilter, like things don't quite add up the way you'd expect?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's what we're diving into today, that wonkiness, that imbalance with the 80-20 principle.
Right, the idea that just a handful of things can drive most of the
Yeah,
results.
exactly. And to help us unpack all of this, we've got our expert on all things imbalanced and intriguing.
Well, it's true. This principle can really change how you see, like, everything from your daily to-do list to maybe even, who knows, your social life. We're going deep with Richard Copper's book, The 80-20 Principle, The Secret to Success by Achieving More with Less.
No dry lectures here. We're all about those aha moments, those shifts in thinking that help you work smarter, not just harder, right? But before we jump ahead, let's rewind the clock over a century.
Okay, picture this. It's 1897, Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto. He's studying wealth distribution. And he stumbles upon this pattern, this like a small percentage of people hold this massive chunk of the wealth.
Hmm.
Okay, and here's the thing. This 80-20 split, 80% of effects coming from just 20% of causes, he starts seeing it everywhere.
Wow. So it's like this hidden code influencing everything,
Yeah.
even if you don't realize it.
Exactly. Take language. Sir Isaac Pitman, the inventor of shorthand, discovered that only about 700 words make up most of our daily conversations.
Out of all the words,
Hundreds of
a
thousands.
tiny fraction doing all the work. So if just a few words can dominate how we talk to each other, what else could this apply to? I mean, have you ever thought about how much of the effort you put in every day actually leads to results?
No, yeah.
Makes you rethink how you're spending your time?
Absolutely. It's about being strategic. Like Koch's experience in the consulting world. He realized most of the growth, the promotions, were concentrated in a handful of firms.
Okay.
So instead of just working harder, he switched to a firm that was on the rise, even if it meant less established talent.
Interesting.
It's about being in the right environment where your effort has a bigger impact.
So it's like finding that perfect wave to ride instead of just paddling endlessly.
Yeah.
But it sounds like this goes way beyond careers, right? What about his Philofax investment? That's a good story.
Ah, yes. Philofax, the ultimate personal organizer back in the day.
Right.
Koch put a big chunk of his money into this one company. And ignoring the advice to diversify,
Bold move.
he ended up with that single investment accounting for a huge chunk of his investment gains.
Wow, talk about trusting your gut. Even when everyone's telling you to diversify, what was it about this particular investment? What made him go all in like that?
Well, it wasn't just, gut feeling, although intuition definitely plays a part. Koch uses the 80-20 principle to kind of shift his thinking, not just analyze data.
Oh, yeah.
He recognized that Filofax was, like, on the verge of something big, right? They were in this rapidly growing market, and their product was simple but powerful. A classic case of seeing those few vital things that really drive results.
Makes you wonder how many opportunities we miss by just sticking to what everyone tells us to do. you know? So for our listeners who are like starting to see their to-do list in a whole new way, how can we use this 80-20 thinking, not just for investments, I mean, in our lives?
It's about becoming a bit of an 80-20 detective, right? Look for those imbalances. Where are you putting in a ton of effort for, well, not much in return?
Right.
Could you get rid of some tasks, give some to someone else, or even better, figure out that 20% that's driving most of your results and like really focus on that?
I love that, being ruthlessly honest about what's actually moving the needle. It's like decluttering for your productivity, right?
Exactly. And this applies to our personal lives too. Those achievement islands Koch talks about.
What are those?
Those times you're in the zone, super productive, energized.
Oh, yeah, I get that.
What sparks those moments for you? How can you create more of them?
Totally. Some days I'm on fire, other days I'm just like going through the motions. It's huge to know your own rhythm and really use those peak performance times. But what about happiness? Can you really 80-20 your way to being happier?
It's less about forcing it, more about, cultivating happiness. Koch talks about these 7 habits.
What's in habits?
Yeah, that can really boost happiness, like maximizing your control. So focusing on what you can influence and making choices that match your values.
So instead of getting bogged down by what you can't control, focus on what you can. Taking ownership, making choices, that's a big shift. But it's not all just on us as individuals, is it? What about applying this to bigger things, societal challenges, that kind of stuff?
Oh, that's where it gets really interesting. Take education. The traditional system, it often clashes with the 80-20 idea, right? We put so much time and energy into methods that, honestly, might not be the most effective for everyone.
Yeah, makes you think. It's It's like we're trying to fit everyone into the same mold, and it just doesn't work that way.
Right.
It makes you think about how people learn best and tailoring things so everyone can reach their potential. So what would an 80-20 education system even look like?
Well, Koch mentions this program in New Zealand. Struggling students, their reading skills jumped massively in just weeks.
Wow.
Using a simple method with tapes.
That's incredible. So simple, but so effective. Shows what focusing on those high-impact methods can do. But it's bigger than just individual learning, right? What about using this to tackle broader issues like crime or inequality?
Absolutely. Koch argues a lot of crime comes from a small group of repeat offenders, right?
Yeah.
So focus resources on the root causes of their behavior rather than just reacting after the fact. That could make a huge difference.
It's like that saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. It's about finding those leverage points, right?
Yeah.
Where a small change can have this ripple effect.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that imbalance isn't always bad. It can be a chance for positive change. It's about becoming 80-20 thinkers. Question things, look for those out-of-the-box solutions.
Love that.
Yeah.
So if we had to pick one takeaway for our listeners, what would it be? What's the one thing you want them to walk away with from this deep dive?
It's about, I think, realizing the power you have, to shape your own world. The 80-20 principle, it's not about doing less. It's about really focusing on what matters in your own life, but also in the bigger picture, right?
So it's less about trying to control every little thing and more about finding those key areas where our effort really makes a difference.
Yes, exactly. You don't have to be everywhere doing everything to make an impact. Focus on what you're good at. Ditch or delegate the things that drain you, and surround yourself with people who, inspire you, challenge you.
It's almost like giving ourselves permission to let go of what's not working and just really go for it with what brings us joy, what makes us feel fulfilled, successful even.
It's about being intentional with your time, your energy, recognizing that even small shifts in focus, they can create these huge ripples, and that's powerful stuff.
It really is. We've just scratched the surface of this whole 80-20 thing today, but hopefully it's got you thinking a little differently.
Yeah, start noticing those imbalances in your own life. What are the few things that are really driving the results you want? What small changes could you make, starting today, that could have a big impact on your happiness, your productivity, even, how you contribute to the world?
Who knows what you might find? Maybe you'll discover your own 80-20 secret to a more fulfilling, impactful life. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep diving deep.